Hello, welcome back to Let It Cook, cooking channel. Today we're making beef salad with pumpkin seed oil. For this we need freshly grated horseradish, pickles, cherry tomatoes, roasted pumpkin seeds, a red onion, cooked beef. I cooked it with vegetables for stock for about 1.5 hours in water, cooked very slowly. Petersilie, parsley, Dijon mustard, pumpkin seed oil, vinegar, regular oil, and spring onion. Let's get started. I already cooked the tafelspitz yesterday because it's much easier to slice when it's cold. I just showed you the video as well. This is a beef tafelspitz. You can also make it with veal tafelspitz. You don't have to cook it, you can roast it medium rare. So just sear it on all sides, put it in the oven until it reaches the internal temperature of about 56 to 58 degrees, then let it cool down and slice it. Then the whole thing becomes a bit more of a refined appetizer. This is just a bit more traditional, I would say. I'll leave that up to you, however you like it. First, I'll quickly slice the red onion. Here I have a mandolin or some kind of grater because I want to try to slice the onion as thinly as possible. That's really practical because now my grater doesn't cut whole rings. The bell is ringing outside, so please click the bell below so you won't miss any more videos. Now the onions, you might already know this. Briefly soak them in cold water. Just crush them a little and put them in cold water. Why do you do that? I just don't want such a strong onion flavor in there. If you want it a bit stronger, of course, you can just put them in raw. But since I have quite a lot of it now and I also want it to keep well, I want to wash away a bit of the onion aroma. Otherwise tomorrow it will only taste like onions, and that would be a bit of a shame. I'll also chop the spring onions right away as finely as possible. I heat it differently. If you want, there's a channel membership down below. Take a look at it, maybe click on it. That would be really nice. As I said, we need a little bit. I've read a lot of comments saying that I do a lot of advertising. I just wanted to let you know, just so you're aware. Linus and I earn about 20 to 30 euros from a normal video. Yeah, I think that for the effort and what a video costs, it's really not too much if you mention one thing or another. Mentioned it. Yeah, so I've heard critical voices again and again. I find it a bit strange. You get to enjoy free content and then you have to watch 1 or 2 ads before it, and somehow that's already a reason to complain. I have to say that kind of thing annoys me a bit because basically no one is paying for it and we're in the kitchen making it. It takes us half a day to make a video like that. So I got a bit annoyed about that, and that's why I wanted to get it off my chest. I'll briefly put the spring onions in cold water just like I did with the other onions. And I'll just work it through here a bit so that the onion flavor becomes a little milder. Of course, we won't throw them away. You can use them later for something else just fine. I've already shown you the tafelspitz cut. There's always a fat cap on top. I leave that on while cooking. It also protects the boiled beef a bit. But now I'll trim some of it off. Of course, you can leave a little bit on, but I don't want too much fat on it now. That's why I'm trimming it a bit. Okay, this is important. Take a look here. So the tafelspitz, like all meat, always has a grain direction. It's important when you cut meat that you cut against the grain. Why? The fibers are long. You can see the fibers in the tafelspitz run like this now. Yes, down like this. If I cut the tafelspitz into slices like this, I'll get relatively long fibers. When I put them in my mouth, I'll be chewing on a fiber. That makes the whole thing very tough. So I have to try. To cut the tafelspitz across the grain at the bottom, in this case it would be like this. I'll show you quickly. Because now I'm cutting through the fibers, I'll just remove a bit more fat here. And this is still a little bit of a small one. A little silver skin that's a bit tough. And now I'm cutting the tafelspitz. I'll show you because then it's easier to cut. This would be cut the wrong way, so to speak. Now you can see here how the fibers run. Yes, if I were to cut it into slices like this, I'd just have fibers in my mouth and it would be very tough. It just wouldn't be as tender. That's why I lay it down like this and slice it finely here. Yes. And now you can see I'm cutting through the fibers. And the advantage is that now you only have very thin fiber pieces that you'll be chewing on. Yes, that means it becomes really soft in your mouth and just melts on your tongue. The beef is cut and it's very, very delicious. I really like that. Then I'll quickly cut the pickles. You can cut them however you want. I cut them a bit bigger because I always think it's nice when you bite into a little pickle. What also goes really well in a beef salad are, for example, scarlet runner beans. They love to do that in Styria. It's really nice. By the way, I toasted the pumpkin seeds briefly in a pan without any oil beforehand. You might have already seen that. They're a bit brown. They pop a little and give a more intense flavor. They're very nice. Very tasty. I'll cut the tomatoes now. Simple. And just a little bit, just a small piece, yeah. Yeah, okay, everything's prepared. Now we can start with the dressing. Just use a little Dijon mustard. I've got regular vinegar in here now. I wouldn't recommend using balsamic vinegar here. It just gives too strong a flavor. So use apple cider vinegar or something like regular white vinegar, whatever it's called. Just a normal vinegar. Not the cheapest, but avoid anything with a distinct flavor like raspberry vinegar. That wouldn't work here. Then I add a bit of neutral oil and a bit of pumpkin seed oil. I'm intentionally not using only pumpkin seed oil because otherwise I think the flavor gets a bit too strong. From the pumpkin seed oil, yeah. So about half and half, roughly. Then we add a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. Now I stir it. The mustard helps a bit with the emulsification so the oil and vinegar can combine. You'll see in a moment. Wonderful. Now you can see nicely that it's emulsified. So it has combined together. As always, give it a taste to make sure it tastes good. Very good. Now you can simply add all the ingredients in there and let them marinate nicely. All the beef. And now drain the onions. Squeeze them a little. Set them aside a little. I'll just put them on top now. I just told you that I want to serve it tomorrow, but of course I want to show you the finished result now. That's why I'm just putting them on top for now. Then tomorrow I can grate them fresh on top again. It's just a bit finer that way. You might already know this from potato salad. When onion sits in something overnight, it can take on a very, very strong flavor, and then in some cases it can even overpower the dish with onion, so to speak, and then it just doesn't taste as delicate anymore. Mix it well. It looks so great with the pumpkin seed oil. I just really love the color of this pumpkin seed oil. Amazing. Now, of course, always taste it. Guys, season it well. There's nothing worse than when the chef hasn't seasoned it properly. For example, just a pinch of salt here. Pepper. Sometimes the dressing was amazing. I had tried it before and it tasted great. The meat still lacked flavor because the broth wasn't seasoned enough. Now it takes all the salt out of the dressing, then you just have to taste it again to make sure the final product really tastes good. I'll go ahead and plate this now. Then you just drizzle a little bit of the dressing over it. You can also add a few drops around the edge to make it look nice, make it look artistic, right? Now we'll sprinkle a bit of our raw onions on top. Just a small pile on top. Then a few parsley leaves. You can roughly chop them up a bit. They're from the balcony. They don't look that nice, but oh well, it's fine. We're going to throw them away now. A bit of parsley on top. That really looks fantastic, I think. Now if you like horseradish, but of course you don't have to. I think it goes really well with this. It's a 10 out of 10 for taste, though some people dislike horseradish. And of course our crunchy seeds. A few more as well, it just gives such a nice crunch. On top as well. If that doesn't look incredibly delicious, I don't know what is. Now, a really nice toasted slice of farmhouse bread with it, or a freshly baked bread. And now, as always, just give it a try. I'm really looking forward to it because I like it a lot. That looks fantastic. This will be a wonderful lunch for us. We're going to enjoy it now. Leave us a comment, maybe a like if you enjoyed it. Tell your friends about us. It would help us a lot. We'll see you next week if you feel like it. Take care. Bye. See you.